Hello, it's March 5th, 2014, and we're going to discuss why there's Russians everywhere in America. There are three alerts over at stevequill.com, and we'll start with the first one from March 3rd, 2014. Palm Springs, last week an American couple came to the shop, and out of the blue he asked me, "What is with the Russians everywhere?" That's how it's titled. It says, "I live in Palm Springs, California, and I've noticed over the past few months Slavic-looking men, which is very unusual. Last week I was working downtown in a small shop in Palm Springs. There have had some Russians come in. When I asked them where they're from, they vaguely said Los Angeles and didn't want to offer any more than that. Last week, an American couple came into the shop, and out of the blue he asked what's with all the Russians everywhere, or what's with the Russians everywhere. Which I said jokingly, but not really. I don't know, maybe they're getting ready to attack us. He said, that wouldn't surprise me. It turns out that this guy's a highly decorated Special Forces officer. He seemed highly concerned, which confirmed to me what I've been thinking. Another incident. A Christian friend of mine and I were sitting outside a coffee shop downtown PS, and were discussing the foreign troops here locally when she turned around and noticed two Russian-looking men sitting behind us who seemed to be very intent in listening to our conversation. The last incident, last Friday, I was driving east on Highway 111 toward when I looked across the street and saw a soldier wearing a green uniform walking along a busy highway. His uniform did not look familiar. He had a green belt with a yellow square patch on his arm. Did not seem like an American troop or security guard uniform. I returned 10 minutes later, but he disappeared. I'd hoped to get a photo of him. I just wanted to pass this information on since I'm getting a little concerned by these foreign soldiers, especially with what's happening with Russia and US today. Now, the second alert is seeking additional confirmation or intel sources on why foreign troops being trained to protect Washington, D.C. It says, "Bro, Steve, this might not be anything. However, by the sound of it, I thought I'd pass it on. I was getting a haircut the other day, started talking to the barber that I go to fairly often about the world that he's seen through his eyes. We talked a bit, and maybe he was testing my perspective in matters unseen. Then he told me quietly that he had a special operator, unknown to what mission he services, last week sitting in the same chair as I was. The barber said this SOF man acted upset and on edge. Then he told him that he felt betrayed and started clenching his teeth. Barber asked why. Why do you feel upset and betrayed? Told the barber that he was a member of a unit who had trained foreign forces. Didn't seem strange to the barber because the Special Forces guys have told him before that they had been training in other countries across the globe. However, the SOF man said they've been training the foreign forces to protect Washington, D.C. That was from March 4th, 2014. Now, Hawk had emailed Mr. Quayle and gave him a little rundown on this. This is his intel concerning the East Coast foreign troops being trained and deployed to protect the D.C. area. Hawk says the Russians are all over CONUS, and it would be characteristic of U.S. Special Forces or Rangers to be training Spetsnaz, because that is exactly what they did in Fort Carson, Colorado, and then after that they participated in drills in which the Spetsnaz were tasked with retaking the Denver airport, and I think even some Cheyenne Mountain-related facility from terrorists. In a sense, they were defending the bases from domestic terrorists. With the preponderance of military bases, intelligence agency bases, DHS and FEMA facilities in and around D.C., it would be no great stretch to have Russians being trained in similar exercises in that area as well. Also, given the philosophical allegiance with Marxism and his alleged recruitment as a teen by the KGB in Indonesia, the president may be more comfortable with the Spetsnaz being his Praetorian Guard. Now here's the important part. This is the part that everybody needs to remember. With Putin about ready to take back much of old Soviet territory, to quit trading oil in dollars, and having buttressed his alliance with Red China against us, well, therein lies the rub. What will the Spetsnaz be doing, really, when Putin countermands their Obama DHS orders? Or, like many say, the fix is in, and like Obama said in the open mic to Medved, tell Vlad I'll have more flexibility after the election. So here we have foreign troops, Russian troops, brought in willingly by the US government, and now we're poking the bear. So either this is all some sort of political theater between Obama and Putin, and it was all planned out, organized, and staged, or Obama's bit off more than he can chew, because when the time comes and he really, really pisses off Putin, it appears that we have a ton of Russians in here, and the battle plans may have changed and may not turn out the way Obama thinks they will. Just something to think about.